Hey, it's May here. What do you do when you're faced with a situation where you have to do even more, but with the same amount of resources or even less resources? I call this doing more with less. And so many of us are still in this position. I was asked this question the other day by somebody who's gotten a happy piece of news. She's gotten a promotion. She has new responsibilities, additional responsibilities. But a couple of team members have left and she can't replace them because there's a headcount freeze. So this is a classic situation. And when you're in these kinds of situations, it can feel really stressful. So I want to share 3 things you can do when you're faced with having to do more with less. Number 1 is to assess what's in your control. Look at what's in your direct sphere of control and start asking yourself questions like, what is it that I'm being asked to do? Why is that important to do? Who's asking me to do it? And what's the intent behind the request? And then you want to think about, if I really do need to do this, to what standard does it need to be done? Can I make this one of those cases where I give myself permission to do B plus work? And then maybe you're making assumptions. So what kind of assumptions are you making? Maybe you're assuming that you personally have to do every single step when that may not be the case. So flip some of those assumptions on the head and also find out if they're actually true or not, because that might affect the way you go about taking care of everything that's on your plate. And then finally, take a look at everything that's on your plate and look at what could you stop doing or what could you pause for the time being so you can take on these new additional responsibilities. Then the second step is to look at your broader sphere of influence, not just your sphere of control. And you want to learn from and enlist other people in this step. And this means asking questions of yourself like, who else does this really well? And how could I learn from them? Another great question is, who else is in the same situation as I am? Maybe you can get together and share ideas about how you could change the way that your work is done so that it's more possible to get it all done. And then third, who else is in the supply chain? Oftentimes, we have multiple other groups that are required all working together in order to achieve that outcome of the project. So look at who's in that chain, the value chain, and you can convene that group and say, how could we more efficiently and effectively get the overall project done together? And it might save everybody time. By the way, when you become the convener, you also are showing up as more of a leader. Then the third step is to then talk to your manager. And when you talk to your manager, realize that sometimes managers just don't know what is on your plate exactly and how underwater you might be in terms of what you've got going on. So always give your manager the benefit of the doubt. They probably don't even know. So it's up to you to talk to them and help them to understand. And as with so many things, it's all about the how you go about it, how you phrase things. So I like to start with being clear on what's my goal with talking to my manager, and make sure that you're really clear on having it be a constructive goal as opposed to just complaining. And then you want to figure out what's the right timing. What's the best time for your boss? What's the best time for you? Can you get that conversation in before you have to take on these tasks? And then when you are going in to see them, you want to make sure you start with preparing yourself to understand their perspective. They might be under very similar pressures. They might be facing the same situation as you are, of having to do a lot more with a lot less resources. And then that's what can help you sculpt your approach and what you say and how you say it. And I really like the idea of giving them an update. Hey, here are the 12 things I'm working on. I really could use your advice. Here's how I've prioritized them. And some of these things just probably aren't going to get done this month. How do you see that? So get some advice. So all of these strategies have worked well for me. I'm curious how they might work for you. And here's the question. How do you handle things when you have to do more with less? I'd love to learn, and leave a comment and let us know. Share your wisdom. And if you're watching this from anywhere other than my blog, head on over to maybusch.com/blog. I look forward to welcoming you there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then hit the red button to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of new videos. So go out there and be bold, play big, and spark joy for yourself and everyone around you.